we'll do the presentation discussion of the update report. Mr. McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll hit a few highlights here. Earned media was pretty significant in December. If you look on page 12, you can see some of the stories that came on the news media. Mostly was related to the two storms that we had in December. So we had pretty good publicity. I think everybody was happy with the coverage.
Today, we had an outage this morning.
We had a brief outage on one of our Oliver feeders.
Well, the radio station was off the air and they were talking about it.
Yeah, it was very brief.
KFYO.
Involved about 1,000 customers.
They said it was
Listeners
for the duration.
partial shutdown.
I don't have the details. I know it was related to some of the work that Classical was doing on 82nd. I don't have the details about what actually happened.
I think they're doing a good job. I'm no expert at that, but they do seem to be moving along and traffic continues to flow. So,
Well, thank you for saying that. We have, I've got some slides I'm going to show here in a minute about some of the work we've done. We have had some, I guess, concern expressed by several different people about congestion because for a while they were closing 3 lanes on the eastbound traffic, and we've changed that to where we rush hour traffic until 9 a.m. We're leaving lanes open all except we got 1 lane closed all the time. And then starting at 4 o'clock, we open lanes back up. And that's improved things a lot. So thank you. Okay, on page 18, I was just going to comment on the rate slide there at the top. We're slightly above the survey average if you look at the rate comparison in December. Of course, we still got the winter-summer differential. And Mr. Conrad, I know you had asked last time for us. He's gone. Well, he'd asked for a 12-month rolling average comparison to look at. And we haven't done that yet, but we're still looking at that. But I think that winter-summer average really kind of, sometimes you look real good, and other times, like now, you don't look as good when the Excel's rates have dropped to their winter rate. On page 19, we've got a lot more people paying electronically now, and the trend line is continuing up there. 67% of our customers, if you look at the bar chart or the pie chart there underneath, 67% are paying electronically now, which is good. Good trend. We added 1,374 new subscribers last month. One of the notes at the bottom of the page there. And added 126 customers to pay for paperless billing for a total of 12,887 paperless billing customers, which exceeds our initial 10% goal. So we can keep working on that, but making some progress there. And 1,451 kiosk payments were made in December, which is pretty good use of that new facility. On page 21 are the reports, and I'll let Andy cover these if you want to have anything to say on it.
We've provided you not only the advanced metering report this month, but we've added in the billing system, the customer information on the next page, on page 22. So that's a new report that you'll start seeing on a monthly basis to give you an update on where we are in that project. With AMI, we've had a little bit of a slippage in the go live for the end of the initial installation period, but it's not going to affect the final go live date. So we think we can make up for some of that time, but we have had some coding issues that we had to resolve that we had to get real comfortable with before we would proceed into the full deployment. So we'll be getting full deployment in the March time frame. So things are going well there. We on the customer service or customer information systems recap, we'll be building that report out a little bit more every month as we get going forward and as we have more information put together. But we began with kicked off the workshops this week, so we have lots of employees in the building, both from the city utilities and city overall, and from LP&L, working on different aspects of the project this week. So things are going well there, and can answer any questions if y'all have any on those. those two projects.
Bottom of that page, talks about next gen for water only network. What effects that have on the electric side, if any?
Bottom of page 21.
I'm sorry, 21, I said, I meant 21, you know, at the bottom of 21.
You want me to?
Yeah, Todd, would you like to?
Sure. So in the water only territory, there's collectors that go, and because there's no electric meters that mesh together, that technology is the water meters talk directly to each collector. Itron was doing an improvement on their transceiver on the radio board in that area. So it's not going to have any impact on electric at all because the electric territory is ready to go. And it really isn't going to have any material effect on the water deployment because, excuse me, we weren't planning to start deployment in the water-only territory until later into the year. So as long as we get that water-only area fit with network collectors in Q1, Q2 timeframe, we'll be in good shape to install in the water-only territory.
So, Andy, and I don't know, maybe this for you. I'm trying to read the schedule there in the middle of the page. So on the line that says pilot electric meters, I guess where the line is in the middle of that graph, is that December 31 or is that today? And then am I looking at that graph? Are we 48%? Complete with the installation of pilot electric meters? Is that, or am I misinterpreting that?
That's what the timeline is showing. What's still left to be done on that line, and I'd have to look at the project plan in a little bit more detail to get there. We have not put any commercial meters out. We're planning to do that next week.
Okay.
And that's going to bump. There's a big chunk of that specific task to get the commercial meters out, and then to run the testing. I'd have to look. I think there was a few other cleanup tasks on that line that puts it at that percentage.
Okay, yeah. So we're 48% complete. Were we supposed to have completed that by now, or?
We should be further along, and Andy referred to a couple items that were pushing us into March.
Okay.
And that's the commercial meter deployment is one of those things that it's taking longer than we originally expected.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to make sure I was looking at that
So
correctly.
So there has been a little bit of a delay there, but we're going to make it up on the back end from the full deployment. We think we can speed it up to make up for this several week delay in getting the commercial meters out.
Okay.
And then how many meters was that, the pilot?
Right now, we're sitting at approximately 400 electric meters throughout kind of the east southern loop area.
They're reporting though back and everything. Right?
And they're all reporting in, and we're working with those meters, doing all the testing and all the billing and all that good stuff.
But in that 400, there's no commercial.
Correct.
Okay, so what will the eventual number when you get the commercial, will we be at the 500?
No, we're planning on doing about 20 commercial meters. The number of 500 and the whole idea of the pilot is an iteration of installing some testing, making sure. If our testing goes well, we're not going to need to do some of the reserve, and we'll just install the rest of those 500 as part of the master deployment.
So we've got the 400 and another 20, so the pilot will really be the 420?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Any other questions on the AMI or the customer information system? There's another report in here which I think is new this month on customer choice. Now, maybe it was in there last week. Customer choice study and natural. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, so we started including this last month, and until the end of this study, we'll include a one-pager like Andy has for the AMI and the CIS project. For the transition to customer choice study. And where we are on that right now is that they've finished the draft financial analysis. They spent quite a bit of time, you know, building our model in their system so that they could then put in different scenarios. And so they've given us that draft financial analysis. Already we found one piece of it that we're gonna need to go back and modify. Not something that they would have foreseen, but something we saw on our end that we're telling them tweak this a little bit. And so we'll continue breaking that down. Probably within the next few weeks, we'll have them in town to do a deeper dive on different aspects of this. And when we do, for any board members or council members that would want to come speak with them and ask, you know, more detailed questions, I'll make sure that you know when they're in town, so that's available to you. Certainly, they have everything they need right now to proceed forward with business processes, with the regulatory checklist, with the other items in the study. But again, for any board or council member that has stronger opinions on this or would like to do a deeper dive, I want to make that available. So I'll make sure that I'll let you all know when that's taking place.
Mr. McCullough, I can't remember if we talked about this before. Back on page 19, I was looking at the Project Helping Hand graph, and I don't remember nothing before. It seems like that's drifting down quite a bit over the last couple of months from where it was back a year ago. Is there anything in particular that y'all think is going on there that's causing that to happen? Or is it?
Let me let Jamie update you on what we did over the month of December to try to gain new contributors to that. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been running some contests within our call center to increase the number of helping hand pledges. Just kind of tying it in with the holidays and people wanting to contribute that time of year. We've also included it as part of our statistics for our CSRs when they're talking to customers on the phone. So it is now part of their job duties to recommend or offer helping hands. We did that in conjunction with adding the online bill pay. So you should start to see, as we've seen the numbers for online bill pay go up, we should start to see the helping hands go up as well, because there'll be a constant conversation with this as well. We did have it as a bill insert or an insert. So customers are seeing it and they're hearing about it more. I think it just kind of went off to the wayside. So we're definitely focusing on it here.
Several times a year, we'll do onserts to promote Project Helping Hand. We like to do it during the Christmas season, and we do a big push. We also do it when we start getting to the back end of spring, as we're doing a lot of our spring cleaning, energy efficiency tips. We'll add that in there as well. You know, summer's around the corner. If you're not already doing it, round up your bill to help your neighbor in need should they, you know, they need it this summer. But every December we do that big push through our onserts and through boosted content on social media. So typically you see a little spike in December every year. You know, this kind of gradual trend down has been a little bit different. So between the work that Jamie's group is doing every day and some of these promotional items, we'll see if that trends up a little bit this next month, and we'll continue to promote it.
But to my recollection, what Jamie was talking about with the CSRs, I don't think that has been done in the past ever. You know, we've only really relied on the onserts or inserts going out in social media, but we haven't done a concerted effort within the call center. So this is a new, you know, kind of strategy to see if that can't generate some extra contributions to that.
Because people don't read the answers. At least not the guy in my house who paid for it.
Well, yeah.
And the committee should do it. I promise I'll do that.
Well, I hadn't really focused on it in previous months, but just looking at that from December 17 to December 18, and that's about a 10% drop, I guess, in dollars and number of people participating in the program. And I'm just kind of eyeballing that. So, yeah, thank you.
On page 27, you can see the new commercial customers that we're working with. few fast food and other type of facilities, an airplane hangar. And then we got the new TTU, Texas Tech basketball training facility across from United Spirit Arena. Still got a
They
pretty,
started moving dirt there?
they put the chain link fence up, but they haven't closed it off yet.
And it's across the street from the current
Right across the street.
It's
It'll
west,
take up a bunch of those parking spaces.
west,
west of USA.
With that radio station, the tower is there?
Yeah, between the tower and Straight Main Street. What do you do about parking?
Womble, I think they're calling it the Womble training.
Dusty Waddle, give it 10 million in. Tyler Technologies.
That's it for the written report, but I did want to give you some overview of some of our construction projects, if you wish me to do so. So we've got significant work going on at Chalker to Oliver transmission line, McDonald's, Layton, and Red Raider. Chalker to Oliver, of course, is replacing wooden poles on 82nd Street between Utica and all the way down to Indiana. They've completed work all the way down to Memphis as of yesterday. One structure we'd had some delays on, waiting on AT&T to move some cables for us. They got that done yesterday, so we're in the clear now and setting all the poles. We've had the traffic issues that we talked about earlier. We've tried to accommodate folks and work with the city street department to try to control signal lights, adjust timing on signal lights, and ultimately limit the lane closures during the rush hour traffic. So here's just a map of it, and this is the copy of the Gantt chart that we've got for this project. Engineering's complete, procurement's complete, and they're probably a little behind schedule, but the way that they're moving really quickly now, and I think the construction manager that's watching the project said end of February they should be complete with this project. What they're doing is changing out poles from our Chalker substation down to Indiana. This is Oliver, of course. This line is in good shape now. It's already been insulated for 115 conductors, adequate size. So full of new conductor, full of new fiber optics, and replacing every pole on that line section there. And here's some pictures of some of the work. This is fairly challenging, and they've got to have a huge crane, which you can see in one of these other slides here. The crane right there is a big one. And so they set the bottom section of the pole in there okay, and then they have to spread out the distribution lines so that they can drop that top section down and button them together. Takes a lot of equipment to do this kind of work, and so that's why we're using contractors for this work.
Hey, what happens to the wooden poles?
They'll be disposed of in the landfill.
Okay, so they just take them out and they're thrown away.
And then here's another picture they took. I think looking all the way back down that way are all new poles, and they're pretty far along.
Is that Indiana Street?
So that's 82nd Street.
82nd.
Looking west on 82nd. That was taken yesterday evening.
And then there's fiber optic in there as well as fiber optic.
Yes, ma'am. The way we do fiber on transmission lines is it's put in the shield wire that goes on top of the pole, very top, and there's fiber optics inside of steel conductors that give it some protection. So that's the way we do it these days. Called it OPGW. I don't even know what that acronym stands for.
Optical ground line.
Yeah, optical ground line. So, I don't know, what's the piece in?
Part of the OT.
It's a little bit.
So at McDonald, this is this project to really upgrade that station, put new transformers in, new switch gear, new breakers, and they've completed demolition of the old equipment, 4 transformer pads, switch pads, and bus structure pads, installed Trendway, which Trendway is just kind of a preformed.
Duck bank.
It's not really duct making, it's just a cable tray, basically, a low-grade cable tray that's got a lid that sits on top of it. You put your, all your, generally your control wires and communications conductors going there. Duct banks is more for the high voltage conductors. And substation structures are going in. So this is our McDonald's substation on Milwaukee and 11th Street, I think that is. Schedule here is, we're pretty close to on track. There's a little bit of engineering left. I think that's mainly relay settings that have yet to be done. Here's some of the work that's going on. This is one of the transformer pads, and we have a containment pit around these transformer pads in case there's an oil leak. And then this is some of the steel structure that's being put in place. Making good progress there. Slayton Substation is actually a greenfield substation across the road from an existing substation that just didn't have enough space within the current fence to upgrade to 115 kV and do all the work that needed to be done. So they poured transformer pads. Basically the same thing. They're installing the underground feeder cable getaways out of this substation. So that's part of the contract price to do that. So they're installing the duct banks across 66th and across Ash Avenue to get us over to where distribution lines are going to be. So here's the old substation here, and the new one will be right in here. This is it.
And what happens to the old one?
It'll be demolished.
Okay, so once we have a new one, then that one goes away.
So here's transformer pad and some of the duct work going across 66th Street, which is not much of a street. It's just kind of gravel road, I think. Red Raider substation, a new greenfield site. This is actually a new substation. The idea behind this substation is to provide additional capacity to serve the campus, as well as some other load that we have in the area. Contractors basically done dirt work here. There's not much more to show. Put in a gravel road up to the put gravel on the existing road up to the substation. They've completed the leveling of the pad and compacting of the pad. Had to move a lot of dirt there. I can't remember how many yards it was. It was a lot of dirt that they moved from a borrow area up into the elevated pad site, because that's in the lower part of that site is in the floodplain. This is excavation so they can pour the concrete pad in there. And this is the Red Raider substation site, which is going to sit right over in this corner. This was some of the good work that Richard did negotiating that deal with Texas Tech and all that. So this is Quaker and 4th Street. Yeah, he lost several years of life, I think, negotiating.
We started over a bunch. He bought the former Texas Tech house with his knees. He retired and went to Colorado. Wore him out.
That's it.
David, is anything of significance going on in the underground downtown or anything? I haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
We have a plan, but I think the work hasn't been a lot of work done lately. I'm not clear.
We've got a meeting this week. We've got a meeting this week to formulate a 2 to 3 year plan for the downtown area and some of the areas that we need to focus on.
Did AT&T and the other guys get out of your way, or what?
Simple answer, no.
You know, Mr. Butler, we had a meeting with them not too long ago when we were talking about some of these conflicts that we had on 82nd Street. And they agreed to relocate those lines, but at our expense, which really would see right away we shouldn't have to pay for that. They were pretty dug in on their position. So,
at one time we just talked about sawing the poles off above their contact in the bank.
yeah, as we were discussing, after the discussion on the conflicts, I asked them about the downtown area, and I said, the city's spent a lot of money putting conduits in the ground. I think their goal would be to get all the poles moved, get all your stuff underground. We're working on ours now. What would be necessary for y'all to do that? And they said, well, it really require contribution from the native construction, because we'd see that as a beautification project.
Is the city putting any pressure on?
Not that I'm aware of.
They're not gonna do anything until we push the
Yeah.
in the city.
Now, as we rewrite these pole use agreements, this is something Richard and Garrett did a while back, as the pole use agreements that we have time out, when they expired, we initiate new ones. We're adding language in there that says if we remove the pole, then they've got to put their facilities underground. So we've got most of the cable companies and other telecommunications companies, with the exception of AT&T, are on that new agreement.
Will that be a retroactive or just new stuff?
It's a standalone agreement that starts that date, so when their existing right expires to be on there, they're allowed to be percent of that agreement.
And when does that right expire?
You know, Ms. Stafford, they're all over the place.
There's no one single.
No, you know, and Ms. Stafford, in all fairness, you weren't here when we talked about that, but that we have multiple sets of pole license, pole use agreements, they're all over the place. Some are from SBS, some are ours, they're all different, all different prices, all different rights and obligations. And state and federal law require us to be act in a non-discriminatory manner as far as attaching telecommunication stuff. So we did a new agreement. We don't deviate from it. The board approved it. We've amended it a couple of times as we've moved through. We have found that there's some things that we could have done better. We brought those back to the board, and the board's approved those. But there's no changes except for design. And whenever those other ones expire, everybody comes on that one, and they don't come on.
Blair said next week, I think our meeting on that, February may be too soon, but have another report on the downtown, those are the items from Glenn, Butch, Kevin, who probably weren't here at the last time we did that, whether that was 6 months or a year ago, I can't recall, but I know kind of bits and pieces that we hear, so get another update at some point that way. So I appreciate that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think we do have the money in the budget for transitioning the downtown to Weatherhead. We did, but it's all got to happen. To get the poles out, everything's got to happen.
One of the agenda items that's on the consent is to renew the contract with SGS. They've been the consulting engineer that's done the bulk of the work on the downtown project, and I think they're going to help us with the construction phase of the work as well. So.
Anything else? All right, that brings us to item number 8, presentation discussion of financial and capital statements, financial options, audits, and financial policies of LPNL. That is Mr. Bertram. I think it's pretty short since we're still under audit.
I don't have a presentation today, a slide presentation anyway. Just quickly go over some of the pages in the book. Page 28, every month we show you kind of where our purchase power costs are compared to what we projected in the first 2 months of the year. You will see there we're actually about $800,000 each month below what we had budgeted, so about $1.6 million to date. So we're about 93% of what we had expected on expenditures, and that mostly has to do with cheaper energy related to reduction in natural gas costs in our area. On the next page, 29, is the purchase power recovery factor. We're required by tariff to report this to you each month. And I don't have an update for December. Because this meeting is a little bit earlier in the calendar than we might normally, we don't have all that information today. But November, what we presented to you last month, our deferred revenue that's related to purchase power is about $15.5 million. So we'll get that updated. Next month, we may have 2 months of updates to give you on that. And then on page 30 is listing of all the capital projects that we have. We have $306 million in appropriations for expenditures of these capital projects. In the month of November, we spent about $3.3 million on these projects. That's about the second highest month we've had in the last couple of years anyway. In September, we spent almost $6 million, which was the highest month in a good while. That was kind of a makeup month when we paid Sherryland some expenses for some things they'd already incurred. But this month was a big month. I'll just show you the 5 projects where we spent the most during the month. 92457, which is the customer service information systems, AMI mostly, spent about $450,000 in November. A few lines down from that, 92462 is the substation upgrade at McDonald. About $265,000 was spent there. Halfway down the page, 92480 is the southeast to Oliver line rebuild. We spent about $750,000 on that one. That was the largest project of that month. And then 92529 and 92532, which are underground distribution and distribution transformers. Together, those were about almost $600,000 was spent between those two projects. Those are general ongoing projects that are either for new service or for changing out existing service. So, number of projects that we had about 51 projects that we actually had expenditures on. 11 of those were over $100,000. So a good bit of activity for the month of November. So we'll have a lot more information in your packet next month once we get back to reporting the regular balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statements, all of that you're used to seeing. The audit is nearing completion. We have been working over the weekend and this week to finalize our report. We're going to get it to the auditors this week, and they will hopefully have that back to us in time for our meeting with the Finance Committee February the 5th. So we will be sending out invitations to you to make sure you are aware of that date and to make sure that that date will work for everyone or for most everyone. So you'll be getting an invitation fairly soon. So that's all I had, unless y'all have any questions.
Questions there? All right, that brings us to item 9, consider minute action to appoint members to the Technical Review Committee, Financial Review Committee, Human Resources Committee, Project Helping Hand Committee. So that's minute action, so we'll need a motion to bring that, correct?
I think at this point in time, since it's minuted action, Mr. Chairman, we'll discuss what your recommendation would be, and then there will be motion and discussion. Required board approval for committees in the past. I don't recall that we have.
Yes, we have. They've been, those committees were created kind of piecemeal, but each one of them, I think, does require board action.
Each one or do them, go over all 4 and then do the whole?
Your prerogative, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Everyone has in front of us. We kind of went over these. I kind of left a lot of them the same. Tried to add in new board members and keep everyone not more than 2 committees. So the Technical Review Committee, Don Bowman is chair, Bush Davis, Jerry Bell, Jane Henry. Financial Review Committee, Kevin will be the chair of that now. Gwen, Greg, and James. Then the HR Committee, Human Resources. Jerry, left you as the chair there. I went around on that one with this year coming up. I think it'd be good to leave that chair there. Gwen, Dan, and Greg. And Project Helping Hand, Jane left you as chair. James, Kevin, and Don. So those are my recommendations for our committee appointments for I guess the year 19.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It would replace the city committees.
March, correct?
Yes, sir, and these appointments would serve until they were replaced.
So move for acceptance.
Go ahead and make a discussion.
Okay. So a motion by Glenn, a second by Butch.
One thing obvious was we only have 3 officers, and we've got Jane as an officer liaison, and she's not an officer, so that's a little puzzling.
It is a little puzzling.
That's got to be.
So just, they would stay on the committee, just the officer liaison would come on.
It's up to the chair to make a recommendation.
Yeah,
I think we can also liaison.
Don could be the chair and the liaison.
Don, you good with that? That's 2 roles.
Was it twice the salary?
It will pay you twice the salary. And we'll do the same on the financial review. Or Greg, you can be the officer.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Are you good with the way they are in your city?
I didn't hear.
On the financial reviews, Kevin's gonna be the chair, Greg will be the officer liaison, and Glenn and James. James is not the officer anymore.
Okay.
Catch Jerry.
I guess I figured probably none of the four of us going off would be chairs of the committee, but, you want to do it that way, but we
We're
need
gonna do it that way just because y'all have the most experience, and the remaining people that are on right now, would be chairs in that sense.
Okay, well, I would be okay with doing that, but the only continuing board member you got on the committee that has to be the chair is Gwen. So I would continue there.
Gwen and Dan.
Well, Dan's gonna, oh, that's right, I'm sorry, you got, okay. As long as somebody it's gonna be on that committee
Correct.
would agree to be the chair next time, because I'll pass on all,
I'll be happy to.
I have 5 years of history on this stuff, so I'll pass on to Gwen, and then hopefully I'll work something out. I'm just saying, somebody ought to be on the HR committee, could be considered chair later, so we don't use.
Wouldn't these things be done,
So we don't lose the institution.
they'll be done when we leave anyway?
Exactly.
Because there'll be new officers.
I don't want, you don't want to have to train somebody out from scratch that hasn't been on the HR committee.
Jerry, do you wanna be chair of the HR committee? If you don't, I'll.
No, I will, provided if you'll consider, if you and Gwen agree that,
Yes, Gwen asked to be on this one, so.
I'm fine, whatever, yes, I will be chair when asked.
then I'll pass on all of the old stuff to you, and then,
Secret.
That's what he was looking for, somebody to give his stuff to.
well,
No.
there's a whole bunch of stuff and forms and all that stuff. We don't want to start over from scratch. So
I'll be happy.
as long as you're continuing on the committee and somebody chairs the committee that has some understanding of the history, then I'm okay.
I'll be happy to.
I would have brought it up before, Dan, I just didn't know that you were going to ask me to do that.
I think she has the most experience in 5 years.
Right, but I'll be gone in 9 months.
I'm working on that, I'm trying to get you transferred over to Rick.
All right, does anyone else have any other comments or questions there? If not, I guess we need all in favor of those committees and proposals. say aye.
With those corrections.
With these corrections, yes, she's changing Greg to officer liaison and removing James there, and then making Don technically go chair and officer liaison.
Gwen, technically, what you've done is accepted a friendly amendment to your motion. And
Yes, I just did
expected to consider it. So
You too, we both like friendly amendments.
So we're, all right, so now all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Okay, consent agenda. Assume everyone's had a chance to look through items 10 through 14. Is there any there that,
Well, I was just asking.
Does anyone want to pull any of those individually? If not, I need a motion.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
Got a second by Don, motion by Jerry. So, we'll do those. Number 10, consider a resolution authorizing the purchasing manager or his designee to execute purchase order to Stuart C. Irby for LPNL, Slate and Cayenne, and Red Raider tap transmission and distribution materials. Item number 11, consider a budget amendment amending the 2018-19 capital program to amend or establish the following capital improvement projects. Line construction, earth document connection, establish CIP 92609 Abernathy to North Transmission Line, establish CIP 92610 Abernathy to Wadsworth Transmission Line, establish CIP 92611 Wadsworth to New Oliver to Farmland Transmission Line, and amend CIP 92468 Auto Transformer McKenzie, and lastly amend CIP 92407 Auto Transformer Southeast. Number 12, consider a resolution authorizing the Director of Electric Utilities execute that certain professional services contract by and between the City of Lubbock, acting by and through LPNL and Electric Power Engineers for professional engineering services addressing the requirements of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas related to the integration of a portion of LPNL employed into ERCOT. 13, consider resolution authorizing the Director of Utilities to execute that certain professional service contract bond between the City of Lubbock acting by and through LPNL and Park Hill Smith and Cooper for professional engineering services related to boring and excavation projects and electric transmission and distribution issues related to the same. 14, consider a resolution authorizing the Director of Electric Utilities to execute that certain First Amendment professional service contract bond between the City of Lubbock acting by and through LPNL and SGS Engineering LLC, amending that certain professional services contract dated on or about December 19, 2017, bond between LPNL and SGS for professional engineering services, procurement support, and other services related to substation and transmission and distribution issues. All in favor of items 10 through 14 on the consent agenda, please do so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by nay? Motion carries. I do not believe there's any other business, so that means adjourned.
Ready to go.
Yeah.